You know how you wish you could just peek inside a company's brain and see what it's really thinking? Well, guess what? You can. Today, we're going to learn how to decode the financial story that every public company has to tell. It's a story told in numbers, and we're going to learn the language. Let's get into it.
So how do you actually do it? How do you read a company's mind? Well, the secret isn't some crystal ball. It's all right there in their financial statements. Seriously, think of these things as a corporate brain scan. They show you everything: the company's health, its recent big moves, and its master plan.
Probably the easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think of these statements like a company's annual report card. But it's not just one grade. Oh no. It shows you how they're doing in three totally crucial areas. Are they making a profit? Who actually owns the place? And, this is a big one, where is the cash really going?
All right, let's start with the most basic question of all, right? Is this company actually making any money? To figure that out, we've got to look at our first report, the income statement.
So the income statement isn't a snapshot. It's more like a video of the company's performance over a whole quarter or an entire year. It starts with all the money coming in the door from sales. That's your revenue. Then it subtracts all the money that went out to cover costs. Those are the expenses. And what's left over at the end? Well, that's the profit, if there isn't.
Okay, so here's what one actually looks like in the wild. You can see the story it tells, right? You start at the very top with total sales, then you subtract the direct costs of what you sold. From there, you keep subtracting all the other business expenses one by one until you work your way all the way down to the famous bottom line, net income.
But let's zoom in on one of the most important, and frankly, most misunderstood lines on this whole statement: the cost of goods sold, or COGS for short. This isn't just some random number. It's the result of a super detailed calculation that shows you the direct cost of every single thing the company produced and sold.
For a company that actually makes stuff, this is a whole four-step dance. First, you figure out the cost of the raw materials they used. Simple enough. Second, you add in the cost of labor and running the factory to get your total manufacturing cost. Third, you adjust for anything that's only half built to find the cost of goods that were completely finished. And finally, you factor in your inventory to get that final cost of goods sold number. It's a whole journey from a pile of parts to a sold product.
Okay, so the income statement says the company made a profit. That's great, but where does that money actually go? Well, it belongs to the owners, and that brings us to our second key document, which tracks exactly how the owner's slice of the pie changes over time.
Check this out. This table shows you how the owner's stake in the company, their equity, goes up and down. See over on the right? That net income we just talked about? It increases the owner's portion. It gets tucked away in an account called retained earnings. But then, if the company pays out cash to those owners, that's a dividend, you'll see that it decreases. And of course, selling brand new stock brings more owner money into the company.
But here's a crucial detail. Not all owners are created equal. You have common stockholders. These are the true owners. They get to vote on big company decisions. But they're also last in line to get paid if the company goes belly up. Then you have preferred stockholders. They usually don't get a vote, but they have priority. They get their dividends first, and if things go south, they get their money back before the common stockholders see a dime. It's this classic trade-off, control versus security.
Okay, so we've got profit and we've got ownership. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, here comes the plot twist. A company can be wildly profitable on paper and still go completely bankrupt. How is that even possible? Well, it all comes down to one thing: cash. So let's follow the money with the statement of cash flows.
And this is a really, really important point. So I want you to let this sink in. Profit does not equal cash. See, accounting rules let a company record a sale and book a profit the second a contract is signed, which can be months before the customer actually pays them the cash. And that timing gap is exactly why a company can look amazing on its income statement but have totally empty pockets.
And that is precisely the problem the statement of cash flows was designed to solve. It completely ignores that fuzzy accounting concept of profit, and it only cares about one thing: actual, real cash moving in and out of the bank account. Then it sorts all that cash movement into three neat categories, so we can see exactly where the money came from and where it all went.
So here's a quick look at how those three activities, operating, investing, and financing, all come together. You can see how the cash from each bucket adds up to the total change in cash for the year. It explains exactly how we got from the cash we started with to the cash we ended with. It's basically the ultimate detective report for a company's money. The first bucket, and honestly the most important, is operating activities.
A company with strong cash flow from operations is like an athlete with a healthy heart. It's the engine that powers everything else. This number tells you if the company's core business is a healthy, cash-gushing machine or if it's secretly on life support from loans and investors.
Next up is investing activities. This section tracks cash that's used to buy or sell long-term assets. We're talking big stuff, like new factories, equipment, or even investments in other companies. Now, it's really important to know that a negative number here isn't necessarily a bad thing. A lot of the time, it just means the company is spending cash to invest in its own future growth, which is exactly what you want to see.
And finally, we get to financing activities. This whole section is about how a company raises money and how it pays it back to owners and lenders. So cash coming in from selling new stock or taking on debt shows up here, and cash going out to repay that debt or pay dividends also lives in this bucket.
So we've walked through the three main chapters of a company's financial story: profit, ownership, and cash flow. But sometimes, to get the full story, you have to read two books at once. This is what happens when one company owns another, which brings us to the bigger picture.
This is where a concept called consolidation accounting comes into play. Basically, when a parent company owns more than 50% of another company, that's called a subsidiary, the rules say they have to combine their financial reports. They have to present everything to the public as if they were one single, giant company.
Just take a look at this example. You can see exactly how it works. They literally just take the individual sales, costs, and expenses from the parent company and the subsidiary and add them together line by line. What you get is one consolidated income statement that gives investors the complete picture of the whole business family. It's the only way to see the true, full story.
So there you have it. We've just walked through the three key reports that tell a company's entire financial story. You now have the basic tools, the decoder ring, to look past the flashy headlines and start to understand what's really happening inside a business. The only question left is, which company's story are you going to decode next?